Masters of Change Show, Season 1, Episode 6.
Masters of Change Show, bringing you real entrepreneurs, real experiences, and real advice, with big inspiration and a whole lot of soul. Whether you're looking to start or grow your business, hack life, or learn personal growth strategies, we are confident you'll hear game-changing ideas and perspectives here. Ready to learn? Always with a big smile, with your host, Bara Ali. Listen to the show 24/7 at www.mastersofchangeshow.com.
Welcome to part 2 of the conversation with Bennett Coles. Enjoy. You said that publishing changed slowly, right?
Yeah.
As an industry, but authors change very quickly. What do you mean by the authors change very quickly?
The technology and the opportunities available to the authors has changed very quickly with the ebooks and the print on demand and Amazon and online marketplaces.
I see.
Authors themselves, it's interesting how you worded that. Authors have not actually changed as quickly as the industry has, as quickly as the technology has.
Okay.
Because authors are also generally a conservative bunch. And the dream for any author has always been to get picked up by a traditional publishing house and have them take care of everything. And the author just sits back and writes and the royalty checks come in.
Right.
That doesn't exist anymore. That model just doesn't exist anymore. Even traditionally published authors have to get out there and hustle their books. But most authors who aren't yet in the industry haven't realized that. The dream is still out there. They still think it's real, even though it isn't. And it has taken a very long time for the community of authors to wake up to this fact that A, traditional publishing isn't quite the dream that you think it is, and B, self-publishing isn't quite the scam that you think it is. Now, self-publishing, the business model has changed in the last 7 years because a lot of authors were burned by those early self-publishing companies that charged a fortune and basically gave you nothing. And authors are more aware now, but that took a long time. In 2010, I had to be very, very quiet about the fact that I'd self-published my book because it was still a dirty word, even amongst other authors.
I see.
Now in 2015, authors can proudly say that they've self-published and will only self-publish because they've proven that it can be done.
Correct.
And so the authors as a community are coming around to this idea now that self-publishing could be a viable option. If you've got some money to throw at it, self-publishing could be a viable option. Whereas the traditional industry is still kind of just ignoring it and trying to push it out of the way. So change is coming. A little more faster with the authors, but it's because they're individuals and they can make their choice for themselves. Whereas the big publishers, they're huge companies. So even if one individual changes his or her mind, then they have to convince everybody else around them to change their mind too. That's a lot harder.
Absolutely. I'm interested in the word equality and would like to know it from you, Ben. Quality is a word that today I don't know if it exists anymore, like in the publishing. What do you see? What equality meant 10 years ago and what equality does mean today?
Quality of the book, you mean?
Of the book, of the writing.
Yeah. No, I think it does still very much exist because if a book is not quality, it doesn't matter how good a marketing team you've got behind it. You might get some exposure for it, but if it's not quality, it's going to fail.
Right.
Whereas a book that is real quality but has no marketing behind it, sooner or later, word of mouth will get out there and the book will very slowly pick up and will one day be a success. It still comes down to the manuscript itself, the story, the message. That is still the most important thing. I think with all of the new technology and new business models that we have, people sometimes forget that the core of this art form has never changed. And that's telling a good story, presenting a clear message, and entertaining people or informing them. That's never changed. So quality is paramount. That's why self-publishing has suffered so badly. It's because there was no quality control in the original self-publishing model. It was the model was run by printers, not publishers.
Okay.
And the sole goal was to print as many books as possible.
So
who cares if they sell? We're making our money by printing them. And self-publishing got panned because it let quality go. traditional publishing has always maintained its quality. Yes, there are terrible books that get traditionally published because the publisher knows that they can make a quick buck off it. It happens. But the vast majority of traditional books are still very high quality because the industry knows that if a book is not high quality, it's gonna fail, and ultimately that will come back to look badly on the publisher as well.
Absolutely.
And self-publishing is figuring this out now.
Right.
It's not enough just to sort of take your Word document and throw it up on Amazon. You're not really a published author then. You've got to put in all the same time and effort and work as you would traditionally and produce a quality product.
Absolutely. And I'm guessing with self-publishing is what's suffering from the word quality in terms of, because I'm not sure, you mentioned something about editing, and that's the editor comes in and look at it and see what you are really saying and what the audience will hear what you're meaning, rather than what's in your head and what you wrote, and the meaning will stay in your head and you try to communicate what's in your head. It's like a slideshow and you're talking about a picture that is in your head on the slideshow. So is that the reality of it from a self-publishing with the editing?
Well, that's what good editing should do. And if a self-published author does their homework and their research, they can get a great editor, and that editor can provide that quality, and you can publish a brilliant self-published book. Part of the problem is that self-publishing is a big industry in itself now, and there are a lot of pirates out there who are more than happy to remove dollars from an author's wallet. So authors just have to be very careful when you are going to hire an editor. Get references, get credentials, make sure that this person really is an editor and the right kind of editor. I've seen many, many authors come to me saying, "Oh yeah, I paid $4,000 for my book to be edited." And I read it and I realize that this editor did a proofread, nothing more, and basically fleeced the author. So it's buyer beware for sure, because self-publishing still doesn't have any standards attached to it. But it's just as important. Quality is just as important in self-publishing as it is in traditional, if not more so, because you don't come with the name of that publisher behind you. And so you have to be that much better to prove that you actually are worth taking seriously.
Absolutely. Now, one of the show fans, Alvin App, asked, is there a trend of writing shorter, like 50 to 60 page ebooks in the publishing in the like in the ebook format only? Is there a trend that you see?
Yeah, definitely. In the ebook format, definitely. You can get away with writing smaller books. Mm-hmm. Yep, 50, 60 pages, 15,000 words, 20,000 words, just a little bit longer than 50, 60 pages, but anywhere in there, sort of the novella, the rise of the novella, it's back, because ebooks, you can sell them for 99 cents and you're still making a profit on each one that you sell.
Correct.
Because you don't have the production costs of a print book. Shorter fiction is not making a resurgence in print publishing for the reason that it costs a lot to print these things. And if it's 60 pages, you can't charge much for it. And so the margins aren't good. But in the ebook world, absolutely, I have definitely seen that. And I think that if there's an author who writes short fiction, e-publishing is the way to go.
Absolutely. Now, when you and I have had a coffee and we spoke and we chatted a bit about the rights, you mentioned that you keep a lot of the rights to the author. Can you talk about the rights of the book?
Yeah, you betcha. Rights is something that authors need to understand. If you sign a traditional deal with a publisher, what you are in fact doing is you are selling your rights to the author. In fact, my agent will refer to it as a rights sale. He doesn't talk about a deal. It's a rights sale. And so you have to be clear, which rights are you selling? Because are you selling all of your rights? Well, I mean, there's the right to distribute and sell your book in print form, in ebook form, in audio form, and in different territories. For example, North America, UK and the Commonwealth, rest of world. Those are sort of the three main ones. There's also foreign language rights. There's movie adaptation rights. There's graphic adaptation rights. There's serialization rights. There are many, many rights. So if you're going to sign a contract, make sure you know which rights you're handing over. And if you're doing a traditional deal, you will very likely have an agent who will take care of that for you. With Promontory, if we are signing a traditional deal, Promontory is taking the rights to sell and distribute the book in the English language world for print and ebook. When we add audiobooks to our stable, we'll include audiobooks as well, but we don't do that yet. So we don't take any other rights. And we specifically say in our contracts, all other rights remain with the author. So that's just to be clear with them. So we're not sort of leaving it open for us to scoop up new rights that haven't even been invented yet.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of publishers did that. A contract, say 20 years ago, didn't speak about ebooks because ebooks didn't exist.
That's correct.
And when ebooks were invented, a lot of publishers just assumed, oh, well, of course, there's this new medium, so of course we have the rights to sell it as an ebook. And a lot of authors sued them and said, no, you don't. There's nothing in my contract that says you have ebook rights. And so this has caused a lot of kerfuffle. So again, being author-centric at Promontory, I want to make sure that if it's a traditional deal, the author's very clear that it is only these rights that Promontory is taking. If it's a hybrid deal, now a hybrid deal, if you remember, is that's where an author is contributing some of the investment up front to help us produce the book.
Correct.
In that deal, Promontory takes the rights to sell the book in print and ebook format in these territories, but only for as long as the author and the publisher have this agreement together.
Right.
And we have built right into our contract that if the agreement is terminated for any reason, the rights automatically revert to the author with no action required. So again, I wanted to make it as simple as possible that if we part ways for any reason, Promontory doesn't keep the book, the author keeps the book.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so it is an important thing, rights. And traditional and hybrid are different. And in self-publishing, the author has all the rights.
Right.
They don't give to anything. They better not. So it's just like there's a difference in the money that an author puts in the three models, there's a difference in the rights that the author has to give up in the three models.
Thank you for enlightening me and enlightening a lot of people about the difference in rights. I mean, that's important to the author to know. I think this is a very important first step before signing any legal paper, is
Absolutely.
to know what you have, what you owe, and what they owe you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that most authors never even think about. They're just so excited to be made an offer by a publisher, they'll just sign anything. They might think, oh, how big's my advance? But otherwise, they're signing over. I've seen some horrendous contracts, even like in the last year, from other publishers, where they are taking the rights for eternity, and they are taking the right to sell the book in print, ebook, audio, and any other form of distribution or technology that may be invented in the future. It's just they're just trying to just take everything, and no author should sign a contract like that. It's just not required.
And so powerful for a lot of people, and I'm sure that a lot of people will benefit from this because we don't know what we don't know, and the authors have been doing it for all these years. The publishers have been doing it for so many years, and they know every nuts and bullets of this aspects, and they can really, as you said, put their hand on all of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now, another question from one of the fans said, what's the demographic of those who buy ebooks versus buys a book now that you see it? Do you see a lot of distribution in the traditional print, or you see a lot of people preferring to buy ebook versions?
Well, fiction is definitely the most favorable for ebooks. Last I saw, which was late last year, fiction sales were about 50-50 ebooks and print books. So if you're writing fiction, then ebooks are definitely a way to go. And as I'm sure you can imagine, erotica sells extremely well in ebooks because that way nobody can see what you're reading on the bus.
Right.
But romance also sells very well as an ebook because they're really just sort of, you read them and then you toss them. So if you only have to pay 99 cents for a book, it's way better. And mysteries as well do very, very well as ebooks. Nonfiction, however, is still very much dominated by the print.
Okay.
And in the overall market with fiction and nonfiction, I think it's about 15% So 15% is ebooks. And it was growing rapidly for its first few years, but it's really leveled off now. So ebooks, might make it to 20% of the market, but print books aren't going away.
I see.
That's definitely true. And as far as the demographics go, yes, ebooks are skewed more towards the young, but not as much as you might think. We sort of laugh at old people because I'm kind of becoming one of them now. But we old people can adapt to technology quite well. And my mother has an ebook, and I'm not going to tell you how old she is, but she is carrying a pension. But ebooks are great because you can adjust the font size.
Right.
So, for older people who have trouble seeing, then with a small print, you can make the font bigger and you can carry them around. They're lightweight. I mean, all the reasons why ebooks are good. So, yes, ebooks are skewed somewhat towards the young, but again, not that much. There are plenty of people across all ages who read ebooks. And likewise, kids, like little kids, still much prefer tangible print books to the ebooks that you can read on an iPad. But yeah, they like them, but they love the tactile books. So it's still wide open, and It really comes down to the preference. Those genres that I mentioned are definitely ebook friendly, and things like recipe books will probably always be print book friendly. But I think ebooks have sort of found their slice of the market, and they're settling in. And both ebooks and print books are going to be continuing along strong. Interestingly, it's audiobooks that have had quite a resurgence in the last couple of years. And that's because of so many people who are commuting in their car.
Right.
They can't read a book. They're tired of the radio, so they listen to audiobooks. So interestingly, that's been a bit of a trend. The audiobook sales are on the rise again. After having been in the doldrums for about 50 years. They're on their way back up again.
And you said it true. I mean, people are traveling and looking for new ways to engage and listen to quality stuff. So audio is becoming a very powerful thing.
Yeah.
Now, another question I had from one of the listeners, Roberta Sparks, she said, how do you know if your writing is worth publishing or not? She said, I'm writing about my troubled, challenged son who passed away 3 years ago from an aneurysm at age of 47. But although I loved him and I think his story is interesting, how do I know that I am not fooling myself?
Right. There's a couple of ways to approach that. Certainly, if you're part of a writer's group, you'll be able to get very honest feedback as the quality of your writing.
Right.
An editor can also tell you that. But when it comes to a story like that, which is a very powerful, moving story, but maybe a very personal story, the thing that the writer would have to do is tell that story in a way that makes it universal, so that anybody can feel for it. If it's written very personally and very particularly to the individuals to whom it happened, it's not going to have that wide appeal. But if she can shape the story and tell the true story, but tell it in a way which doesn't make it quite so specific, but it sort of opens it up so that anybody could empathize with it, that would be the way to make it work. It's tough to take a personal story like that and make it universally appealing is very, very hard. And that really comes down to the quality of the writing. And all I can suggest there is just keep writing, keep writing, keep practicing the craft. And if you can write in a compelling enough way, then that story could fly.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for sharing this. Now, Ben, I have enjoyed talking about this and the session, but we're coming more to the end of the show. I wanted to really thank you for being such a guest and open to ideas and the discussion. I had a lot of fun and I really learned a lot, and I'm sure a lot of the audience will be learning. Now, where people can find a lot about your work, about Promontory Press, how they can contact you.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Promontory Press, we're based in Victoria, BC, but we, thanks to the wonders of the internet, can be reached anywhere around the world. It's www.promontorypress.com. And if people go there, they can see who the team is. They can see the titles that we've published. They can see who our authors are. And if they want to submit their works, they're more than welcome to. If they just want to ask us questions, they can.
Mm-hmm.
We're always happy to hear from other authors. If anyone is interested in learning a bit more about me personally as an author, it's BennettRColes.com.
Mm-hmm.
And my new book, Virtues of War, has just been released June 30th
Mm-hmm.
in Canada and the United States.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
So it's thank you. Very, very happy about that. So it's hit shelves all across the continent and in the UK as well. If anyone's listening from Australia or New Zealand, it's coming in August. So just wait patiently. It's on its way.
Wonderful.
But yeah, so it's a very exciting time.
Exactly. I mean, I know it's when something new comes out and your work, and you said that you get better as a writer and you get more excited about the ideas and you communicate them better. I'm sure this is an exciting time.
Absolutely. And I love talking about this industry because I feel that authors need to be educated. And I've learned so much in the last 7 years. Anything I can do to help other authors, whether they go with Promontory or they go to New York or they self-publish or however they do it, I want to make sure that they're educated and can do it the best way possible.
Absolutely.
Because I think the whole industry and the whole art form will benefit the more talented new authors we can get out into the market.
Absolutely. And before we close the show and we end, what are the 3 tips you would give to any publisher thinking about this?
To any publisher or any author?
Any author, sorry.
Yeah. Well, the first thing to do is practice.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure, don't rush your first book to be finished and think that you're done. Make sure you go back, work on it, make sure it's absolutely the best it can be. And maybe your first book isn't the one that's going to be published. Maybe it's your second, but just keep at it. You will continually get better as a writer. My second bit of advice is get an editor. Get an editor, because it doesn't matter how much your family love your writing. It doesn't even matter at the end how much your writing group love your writing. You need a professional who doesn't know you to be able to come in and give you real professional advice on how to make your book better. Every author needs an editor. And I wouldn't dream of publishing one of my own books without having an editor. I'd be scared to do so. So get an editor. And third, I'd say, is that remember that writing is an art form, and it's something that we're passionate about as authors. And it makes us happy. It makes us excited. It's something that we're driven to do. Remember also that writing is a business.
Right.
And there's a time to have your artist hat on when you're creating, and it's wonderful. And there's a time to have your business hat on and realize that somebody is thinking of this as a commodity, and you have to be able to speak in those terms about your book. It's just a product that they want to sell. And you have to understand that and relate to that. You don't have to live that, but you have to get it. And then go back to being an artist and being brilliant and creative and all the rest.
Thank you, Ben, for sharing these wonderful tips. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like to say?
Oh man, publishing is such a huge topic. I think that these days, I've sort of hinted at this all the way along. These days, there are many, many ways to effectively publish a book and be successful as an author, to even make a living as an author beyond the traditional route. Self-publishing can be very viable if you do it right. If you maintain your quality control, if you know how to market, or you have someone who can do it for you, you can do it. And hybrid, I'm really excited about, because I think it's a wonderful mix of the two that can also be very successful. So I guess for an author who's thinking about how to proceed, don't put your nose in the air. Don't think that, oh no, I'm above that. Or likewise, don't necessarily be the anarchist and say, no way, I'm not going to do what the establishment wants. If trust me, if a New York publisher comes along with a wheelbarrow full of money, your anarchism might disappear at that point. Mm-hmm. Yeah, hell yeah, I'll take that. So just be open to the fact that there are many different ways to publish successfully these days. And it doesn't matter which path an author took. If the book is good, that's all that matters.
Correct.
Doesn't matter how they got there.
Powerful. Thank you so much, Ben. It was been a pleasure having you and willing to share, as I said, all these advice and these tips I learned, and a lot of people will be learning. And I look forward to having maybe bring you back again for another episode in the future and talk about all other aspects of the publishing industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I would love to come back. I'd suggest have me back after about 3 months after the book is launched.
Sounds good. Let's do that. And
Ask
we'll
me
talk
how it's
about that after
been.
the launch. Yeah, let's do that. Absolutely.
Yeah, you betcha. Thanks, Bara.
Thank you, Ben. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining in. It's been great having Bennett Coles on the show. We'll have the information about Bennett and the publishing company in the show note below. Until next time, have a lovely night. Bye-bye. That was the end of episode 6 of the Masters of Change Show program. I hope that you had a good time and you learned a lot of it. If you like the episode, please subscribe on iTunes, like our page on Facebook, and share your favorite part with your friends. Until the next episode, have a great day. Bye-bye.
Masters of Change Show, bringing you the most unique, brilliant and inspiring entrepreneurs who will share their expertise to help you start and grow your business or inspire you to follow your passion and live your dreams. With your host and a big smile, Bara Ali. Listen to the show 24/7 at www.mastersofchangeshow.com